Because in all fairness, when someone stops me on the street and they ask me something related to fitness, the first question is usually, what am I taking? ¿Qué está tomando? Doesn't matter what the language is. They always ask me, what are you taking? So when they say this, I know exactly what they're thinking. I know exactly where they're headed. And I tell them, all I do is take. So today's video, I wanted to talk about whether or not you can gain a muscle after the age of 40 or 50. And I'm hoping that through these videos, I can encourage some of the older guys out there, as well as the women, to get in shape or maintain their shape and optimal health and live a better life, basically. So what happens after the age of 30 or 40, right? You got to deal with sarcopenia, which is something that happens after the age of 30, sometimes 40. It's basically a decline in functionality, muscle tissue, and strength, right? You'll notice a gradual decline in these things. But thankfully, through strength training, you can circumvent a lot of those issues. So you may have noticed that after the age of 40, things start to decline, especially if you're not maintaining an active lifestyle. If you're not in the gym, I can tell you that you'll start to decline rapidly. One of the best things you can do is start strength training, start a program, start some kind of fitness routine that will help preserve that muscle and keep you more functional. Now, you may think that things like sarcopenia is something you have to worry about in your 60s and 70s, but as I always say, it's good to be on the more preventative side of things. So if you're young, if you're in your 30s, well, maintain a strength training program, because this is going to help you in the future, right? I keep saying that I'm 50 and people don't believe me, but you know, this is because I've been consistent for a very long time, my teenage years, right? I'll get more into that another video. You know, I've seen like a lot of people in their 40s sort of decline, and that's partly because they have a sedentary lifestyle. They don't work out. They have a sedentary job where they're sitting down in an office, sitting down on a chair the entire day, or maybe they are driving. These are the things that sort of get you really prone to those sort of conditions, sarcopenia, that is. So another thing you want to be on the lookout for is what's your protein intake, right? You want to make sure that you are consuming enough high quality protein. This will help preserve a lot of the muscle that you currently have, and it will also assist you if you are on a strength training program. There's no point going to the gym if your nutrition is subpar. You're wasting your time. In fact, you may be burying yourself if you're just training hard and having poor nutrition. It's the worst combination. So please get your nutrition on point. As for supplements, I tend to rely mainly on nutrition and things like vitamin D and some chondroitin. This is something that helps with the the cartilage and joints and the joints in our bodies. So that's always a good thing. Now, something's got to be said about things like TRT. So for those of you who don't know, that's testosterone replacement therapy. I don't know too much about it, and honestly, I have never tried it. Right? I've never tried any sort of exogenous compounds or steroids or SARMs or peptides. You know, we have a lot of things out on the market right now, and I've spoken with a number of dudes who are in their 40s and 50s who have asked me, hey man, do you take TRT? To which I reply, no. You know, I rely heavily on the bread and butter, the basics, right? Good nutrition, recovery, sleep. I mean, y'all know I go to bed at like 8:30. I don't really play around. I get up at 3:30. I'll make a video about this, right? So at this point, this is a lifestyle thing, right? The first thing I tell guys when they ask me, hey man, I want to get in shape, what do I need to do? I say, you got to make it a lifestyle. I'm not going to BS you. You got to make this a lifestyle. I don't care if you got a job, you got 2 kids, you're running a business. We all do things. I'm a busy guy too, but I find the time to get my butt in the gym and to give it at least an hour and a half in the gym, maybe 5 days a week. So what does that mean? That means eating well. That means eating 4 or 5 meals a day. If I'm on the go, I have to bring those meals with me, or make sure that I can have access to a good quality restaurant that serves good, healthy food. You know, this is all part of the lifestyle. You know, when we talk about the lifestyle, the bodybuilding lifestyle, walking around with your little Tupperware and all that stuff, that's unfortunately what you got to do to not miss meals, right? I try not to miss meals, man. I've mentioned the TRT thing because a lot of guys think immediately that's what they need to do to gain lean muscle mass, and they blame it on, oh, I have low testosterone. I'm like, well, did you get checked? They say no. But I'm like, how do you know you have low testosterone? You know, just figure, oh, because I'm 48 and I must have. Well, you know, that's not necessarily true, man. You know, I haven't checked my levels. I probably should, but I rely on the sound principles of weight training and eating well, which is always what I tell guys. You know, I tell guys, do that first. Forget the cigarettes, forget the alcohol, forget the late nights, forget the boozing on the Saturday nights, all that stuff. You cut that stuff out, you're already ahead. You're already ahead of the game. You need to make these lifestyle changes. This is the first thing I tell guys, you know, because a lot of guys will be like, oh, what should I do? Should I start with, peptides. I heard about peptides. Should I do Ozempic? Should I do TRT? I'm like, you're approaching this the wrong way. You're approaching this the wrong way. You need to focus on the basics, get the nutrition down. Basically, there's no point doing the TRT. There's no point doing the Ozempic. There's no point doing the SARMs and whatever's out there on the market if you're eating twice a day, if you're eating junk food, if you're going to bed at 2 a.m., if you're training once or twice a week and you're missing meals. I mean, it's upside down, all right? You got to have that foundation laid out first. So I'm not saying not to do those things, but at the same time, I'm hoping that you rely on the basics before you compound the situation with other solutions, basically. And honestly, if you really want to make some progress in your 40s and 50s, I think it requires more discipline than, let's say, when you're in your 20s. In your 20s, you can get away with a lot of stuff. In your 20s, you can get away with going to the nightclub on Friday and Saturday nights. In your 20s, you can eat Burger King and you can eat McDonald's 6 days a week and still make progress in the gym. Try doing that at 50. Try doing that at 52. Try doing that at 45. You're not going to last long and you're going to be gassed out in the gym, right? You're going to miss meals. You're going to miss workouts. It's not worth it at that point. You'd be surprised how a lot of the older guys like to make up some excuses, talk about TRT. Oh, my friend's on TRT. He's got jacked arms. It's like, well, you know, maybe your friend puts in the work, you know? Maybe your friend is dedicated to the fact that he wants to work out and make some improvements. You know, you can't really rely on what someone else has taken and hope to achieve the same results. Because in all fairness, when someone stops me on the street and they ask me something related to fitness, the first question is usually, what am I taking? ¿Qué está tomando? Doesn't matter what the language is. They always ask me, what are you taking? So when they say this, I know exactly what they're thinking. I know exactly where they're headed. And I tell them, all I do is take protein and nutrition, right? The occasional bottle of glutamine every now and then, but that's about it. You know, there's nothing else. There's no secret formula to this. They always want to know, what pill can I take to increase muscle mass? What pill can I take to reduce fat? What, you know, it's like, bro, you're missing the whole thing. You're missing the big picture. Sure, you can try those things every now and then, but the main thing is the food and the recovery. So anyways, I'm hoping to motivate you guys here. You can subscribe to the channel. So moving forward, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite routines. You guys are free to follow along, and you know, we're going to do a cut together. If you guys are looking to shed some body fat while preserving the muscle, I'm going to show you guys how I like to do it. So I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be sharing some simple nutrition, food guides, and things like that, things that you can easily follow because I know you're busy. But anyways, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Most men over 40 and 50 are making these 3 arm training mistakes. I explain all of them in my free Big Arm Blueprint. Just click the link in the description and start building the arms you've always wanted. Or visit jawlinefitness.com/bigarm.